There you go.
Look at this rookie right here.
So, yeah, I do this. I create content. I've been creating content since 2016.
We all have our ups and downs.
And I did the one now what's gonna be even funnier is if I'm muted. That's the only thing I'm missing is being muted. But I got a funny feeling they're hearing my voice because of course my child wants to play every game while not looking at the screen. And that is how I feel when I play most Soulslikes, Soulsborns games. And this is why I have 2 legends in the Soulsborne, Souls-like Souls community.
You're giving me too much credit, but a legend, I would love
Legend.
to.
Oh no, let me okay, since we got somebody over here talking down on their skills, let's jump over we'll jump over that way. So first and foremost, before we really get into it, I'm Baron J67. This is LV1 Gaming, and today we are here to talk about Soulslikes and to hear my child babble. Maybe we'll hear a few cuss words from her. Believe me, she did not.
Sweet,
get it
let's
from
go.
Me. Got it from her mother, and she's not here to defend herself, so that's how I know I'm right. But yes, so our first guest, since downplaying the greatness and plenty of written and video guides across all of your favorite and least favorite Souls games. We have Keith from the head of the Outerhaven.net, right?
Yep.
.net. I always want to make sure.
.com, but we gave it to somebody, so that was a
Look at
mistake.
and he's generous. So Keith, give us tell us a little bit about yourself and why you for some reason don't believe you're qualified to be a top tier Souls person in the community. Yeah, explain that to me.
It's not my own doing. It's just unfortunately it just feels like when Soulsborne games are talked about, there's a few people in the industry in the scene that are mentioned, and if you try to give any kind of advice to somebody or help somebody out, they go, "Who are you again?" And then it's like, "Oh, okay, well, thanks. I'm gonna walk away now. Thank you very much for that." It is what it is, unfortunately, and I don't have a problem with that. I just know that I can play these games, and I could probably hang with the best of them. Easily.
So this was a super random question that I just thought of right now, and it's a great, I guess, icebreaker, even though there's no ice to break because we talk all the dang time. But what is your favorite build when it comes to Souls games?
Ooh.
I'm a caster. I like casters. I love casters. I mean,
Jeez.
I will do a strength build if I just want to completely break the game, but I like casting.
That's cool.
That's actually pretty.
Because casting actually is, if you think about it, every boss in a Souls-like game is immune to a sword or a hammer to the face. But there's a lot of bosses that are immune to magic, and you're like, well, crap. Well, I'm stuck at this build, and I'm very high in my build. What am I going to do now? You got to figure out how to beat the boss, and if that means using your magic to take them down, and it's not the best thing to go, then you're stuck with it. Unless you want to go back and respec. Not that I have done that a couple times. Dark Souls 2. Yeah,
Okay.
it is what it is.
Okay, so now moving on to our next guest, we have the queen of Souls games. No, and I
Don't
say this.
that.
No. You have the numbers.
she's doing the same
No,
thing.
you have the numbers to prove it.
I mean, yeah, hit or miss, but I can get them. I'm capable, I guess. Yeah, I'm capable. If YouTube is nice to me, yeah.
Right? Algorithm!
Yeah.
Right? Air cuts for the win.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm so glad you're here because you put out so much dope YouTube videos. I mean, when I was playing through, I believe it was Dark Souls. It might have been Dark Souls 2 or Elden Ring. I can't remember which one, but I put in, I was like, how do I beat this boss?
No. It was Code Vein.
Yes, there you go.
It was Code Vein.
There you go.
That's how
See,
me and you kind of like linked up a little bit. Yeah.
Look how deep this goes, y'all. Code vain. A lot of people probably don't know it's like an anime drawn version of a Souls game.
It's
And
awesome.
My least favorite Souls, like it
It's
is.
awesome. It's great.
It had so many moments where I wanted to break my controller, and I actually beat it. And I only beat it because of Eric Cuts for the Wins video that popped up on YouTube when I searched how to beat a boss. Boom, first video to pop up. And I was like, see, this is why she is the queen. And I want to give both you guys your flowers because seriously, this genre, right? I feel like there's a bunch of places to go, but I'm not deep in the weeds like that. Like, I'm not going to be diving through Reddit. I'm not going to be surfing through discussion boards on Steam pages. Like, I'm not that guy. So to be able to, whether it's seeing how to get the Arcanist build in freaking Remnant 2 from an article that went up earlier today, or getting a video for a game that I thought nobody else on earth was playing, to then see this video that walked me through how to beat it because I was just hell-bent on beating this game, and God, I don't know why.
It was the final boss. It was the final boss. I remember. Yeah, and that was a tough boss. Yeah,
he took up half the arena, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it just felt ridiculous. But the fact is, you guys are two solid sources that not only you got written, you got video, you got videos. Like, it's so much content there for this very, I hate saying niche because, you know, Elden Ring won didn't it win Game of the Year last year?
Yeah.
I don't think we can call it niche anymore.
Yeah, we can't call it niche.
It's not anymore.
It's not because I have this sick fascination with getting my butt kicked. I'm horrible at these games.
So do I.
I'm horrible at these games. But yet I play a lot of them. And it's just so dope to have you guys here. So,
awesome. Good to be here. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, no, you guys
you lost my number. I thought you didn't want to talk to me no more, homie.
Oh Lord. Erica,
I was like,
this is my
what's up?
this is my. I'm so sorry. Look, as you guys can see, I got a little person right here, and I'm trying to be professional. It's not working. And you see, I got my necklace. I'm trying to give her and everything to keep attention.
As a fellow father, that is the best thing right there. Do not downplay that. Enjoy that. Because they turn 16, 17, 18, and you want to get them out your face. Trust me.
Yeah, savor it. I'm learning that every day. It's like...
That's why we got one in here, and the other two are...
Live in the moment.
On their tablets somewhere. But no, and of course, David Whitaker, the guy gets on my nerves. Baron wants a Souls-like feet game in 2024. Funny enough, there's a Souls-like hand game that already exist, and you're like a hand that's crawling around and collecting things, and different rings give you power-ups and whatnot. So yeah, fame.
Okay.
Suck it. Butthole. But yes.
Feet game next.
Yeah, he thinks I have this crazy foot fetish, but we're not here to talk about that.
What is with people with foot fetishes on YouTube?
Look, we're not here to talk about this. I have my child with me. We are here to move forward. We're here to talk about cutting off heads and slang. Yeah, after show. But yes, okay. So Erica, give us a little background about you, who you are, and the type of content you create. Of course, I hyped up all of your stuff, but just give them your spiel.
Well, I do Call of Duty content. No, I'm just kidding. I do Souls content. You touched on it a little bit. The how-tos, boss fights. I love that stuff. You talked about loving getting your ass kicked. I am with you on that. It's just something about overcoming that challenge. It's just so satisfying that I don't get that from other genres. I really don't, to that extent, to that satisfaction. So that's what really got me going, and that was in 2015 with Bloodborne. I started with Bloodborne and then went to Dark Souls 2, which was kind of interesting, and then from there I just went to all the Souls games and then the Soulslikes that came, and here we are. I'm playing everything I can get my hands on, and that's what I cover, and I've been doing it for a hot minute, and I love it. It just never gets old to me, and I just found my lane, I guess. We talk about YouTube and finding that lane and how hard that can be, but thankfully for me, it just kind of came naturally. I'm kind of a competitive person, and for a while it was multiplayer. Call of Duty, Gears, stuff like that. But, we get a little older. We get a little worse at games. At least for me, I feel like I got a bit worse. So I like to come through from the perspective of I'm a mom and I don't play games all day, but I'm decent and I can find a way to beat these bosses. And that's where the how-tos come from. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to have an OP build. You can be like me and have this basic strength build and beat this boss. And that's kind of where I come from on my channel. And I think it's worked for me pretty well because there's a lot of people like me who, they might consider themselves casuals, or they're a parent, they don't got a lot of time and they want quick information right away. So I feel like I just find joy in helping them succeed, even in the littlest things, even if it's just to stop being lost in one area. I want to be the one to guide you. So I've just really kind of found my calling, I guess, and I love it. So yeah, that's, I guess, my intro.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and it's funny because all of that was obviously tailored to the man who has a 1-year-old playing with his headset. And that your videos are for people like me, and I just really appreciate it because they have definitely came in clutch, as we talked about earlier. So moving on.
That's awesome.
So Keith, tell us about.
She was determined to take that off.
Yeah, it's not gonna make it through the podcast. I know that for a fact. But shout out to HyperX if you guys want to send me another one, and we just make this.
Hey,
work.
there you go.
Yeah, like we'll
Sponsorship.
Look, it's baby tested. But yeah, no, Keith, tell these folks about your content, about your website, because obviously over there at the Outerhaven, you guys do a lot more than just Soulsborne content. No, thank you.
Right.
And
he's like, give it back. Give it back, Dad.
But yeah, go ahead and let these folks know about what you guys do over there.
Sure. So the Outerhaven is a weird cast where a bunch of friends and family, we call themselves family, that pretty much do everything under the sun. We talk about RPGs, we talk about Souls-like. It's a very small conversation over there about them. Racing games, pretty much everything under the sun we try and cover, or get our hands on, talk about, either if it's news or it's a review or a preview or YouTube videos, as we're trying to make a mark on YouTube. So it's just, think of it like, and I'm not trying to be rude, think of it of like being a major gaming corporation and you just want to have fun. And your day to day, it's having fun. After you get off of work, you talk about stuff, or you write about stuff. That's pretty much what we are. It doesn't make a difference what it is. There's probably somebody there who will talk about it or who was super hyped about it. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. She gets it.
No,
She knows.
And it's just so dope that you have so many different things going on here, and Souls, like Soulsborne, Souls games have brought us together. And speaking on that,
Yeah.
Soulsborne, Souls-like, your favorite of all time.
Ooh.
Erica.
Oh.
Souls-likes or Souls games?
Souls-like.
Or it just
honestly, out of the best
all of
genre.
them, From Software included.
Yeah, go for it.
Ooh, it's got to be Dark Souls 3. That's my favorite. I love Dark Souls 3. I think my top 3 is probably the other two mix around, but Bloodborne and Sekiro. Those are,
Okay.
well, Sekiro's not really Souls-like.
Yes.
Let's say Bloodborne. And let's say, what else? Let me think. It's crazy because the Souls-likes this year, we're going to get to it, but like Lies of P, Remnant, those are high on my list too. I feel like they just jump around depending on the day, like my mood. Like today, I'm Remnant hyped today. So I'm like, God, I love Remnant too. So it just depends on my mood, I guess. But definitely Dark Souls 3 is like my top one. I go back to it the most besides Bloodborne. And I just always enjoy it. It's awesome. Has great bosses. Bosses are a huge part of it. If you have great bosses, I'm going to like you more than the other games, basically. So yeah, that's mine.
Keith?
Dark Souls 3 is my top. It has been my top. It will not be.
Great minds.
I mean, there's not been a game that has surpassed that. I thought Elden Ring was going to be that game. To be honest with you, I played Elden Ring once and then tried to go back through it again. I was like, I can't do this. I got like 200 something hours to play this game. I can't. But I'm looking at it right now on Steam. my Dark Souls 3, and this is just on a PC version, I have 908 hours.
Damn.
That's not counting Xbox 360. That's not counting playing on PlayStation. I love Dark Souls 3. It is perhaps the best Souls-like game that From Software has made. They've learned from the first games. They've taken the speed from Bloodborne. You can even play Dark Souls 3 without shields, which is what I do. I will never play Dark Souls or any Souls-like game with a shield unless well, no, even strength builds. I'll just use a one-hander. I'll dual weld or I'll use a two-hander. Unless that shield has some super godlike ability, like in Lords of the Fallen, where you can slot your shields to get you better ability. So, okay, I'll use a shield in that game. But other than that, I will never use a shield. So, Dark Souls 3, see, that's a very hard one. I would say Neo 2.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
There's another one you won't expect. What is that game? I'm trying to remember the name of that game. It's not a serious game. It's just a fun game. I'm trying to look
Souls-like.
Yeah.
Is it an indie?
It's a fun indie game. Death's Door.
Oh, Death's Door. That's a good one too.
Okay.
That game.
Yeah.
The bosses did.
When
Look
that game
pretty
came
cool
in,
on
I
that.
was on that game non-stop. I couldn't stop playing it. Beat it once, went right back to it again. It's a great game.
That's like a Zelda Souls type,
Yeah, for sure.
which is awesome. Yeah, I almost forgot about that game. There's so many.
Dude,
So many.
It's freaking ridiculous. So for me, it's Dark Souls 2. And
Really?
it's only because I'm horrible at it. I've never beaten it, but I have a crap ton of hours on it across multiple platforms. And I always get stuck in the Dark Gulch. And that was Dark Souls 2, right? I hope with the Gulch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, I just constantly pick that one up and replay it all the time. Yes.
Wow, interesting. We don't hear that all the time.
No, and
Not
that's
every day.
Yeah, I mean that's like the oddball, but I'm not gonna say you're wrong because I'm looking up my hours again on that game, and I know Dark Souls 2, not Scholar of the First Sin. I got 500 something hours again on the PC. That's not counting Xbox 360. So yeah, I've got a lot of hours in that game.
And Silas, it is.
What I gotta say, Majula. I would just go to Majula. And just
There you go.
that theme is just so magical.
The music, beautiful. I like Dark Souls 2. I know it gets a lot of hate, but that was my first Souls after Bloodborne. Like I said, I like it. I liked it a lot.
What do people hate about that one?
The world, I think, not connecting as great as the first game.
That is fair.
They complain about that
fair.
a lot. That's a big complaint.
That's fair.
And the levels, the enemy density, stuff like that, placement.
That's fair.
The Iron Keep. The Iron Keep destroyed me, so I get where they're coming from, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
I remember
it
it just constantly felt like this gauntlet of
Kick your butt.
beat down. Yeah, like, and that's
what it was.
and
It
it was a churn. And these games taught me that I'm stubborn.
The first time you get to the Rat Pack, you boss, and you go, "What the hell?"
The rats.
What was it? The Rat Authority, and then and then before you even get to that, you got to go through like those weird mummy dudes. Like, see, like I played a lot of that one, and
but to that game's credit, the DLC was amazing. All the DLCs were amazing.
And I see I've never gotten good enough to get to the DLC.
You'll get there eventually.
One day. Oh, but yes. Okay. So moving forward, because we're building some background, right? Because of course we know what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about 2023. But I just want to give some folks a little background build of who you guys are when it comes to the Souls games, Souls-likes. So what was your first Souls-like or Souls game? Like what triggered that thing for you where it was like, oh yeah, I love this. Oh, Eric.
Well, I already answered it kind of already with Bloodborne. But I'll expand on it a little bit. You know, that game, man, I have such fond memories of it. And that was a very busy year for me. I got married that year, 2015. I was very busy with life, but any chance I got, I would just sit down and get lost in that game, and whether literally or like figuratively. Like I was just so just mesmerized in some way. Like I was just curious about the game. I know some people will feel like they dread dying a lot and they dread getting lost, and for whatever reason that just never happened to me. It just was always this curiosity I had, even though I was new to this genre and this type of game, and I just always wanted to see like what was around the corner, and what is this NPC talking about? What do they mean by that? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me, but I want to find out. You know, it was like always this curiosity that just kind of like was within me. So I just kept playing it and playing it, getting my ass kicked. Ibritas especially kicked my ass. I think I spent like over 30 tries on that boss, and I just could not put it down. I could not put it down. So from there, it just started this transition for me, not just in my gaming habits, but also my YouTube channel, to where I went from playing these random shooters, random games, to focusing on, okay, this is my progression through this game and what changed for me getting my ass kicked to getting better. And I just felt like documenting that was just fun, and it just kept going and going, and I just fell in love with that whole process of like getting good, right? The whole get good. I just fell in love with that. So Bloodborne I owe so much to because I wouldn't be where I am with my channel if it not for that game. I mean, maybe eventually I would have played Dark Souls 3 or, you know, something else, but that's what really started and kicked me off to this life, this new life of mine. And I haven't looked back, and you know, it's hard to turn that part of my brain off when I'm playing other games. It's really hard because I just feel like the standard of like the fun I have with them, it's just so hard for me to get in some other games. But you know, I love it, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Bloodborne, man, that was the one.
Same question to you. What was your first Souls game?
Oh man, so my first one was Demon Souls.
Okay.
And so I picked up this game shortly after it got released. I had no idea what this game was. And normally when we were younger, we would go to my mom's house for Christmas, and of course all my cousins and everybody would come over, and we bring our consoles and play games. So I went to EB Games, that's how long ago it was, and I saw this game of a guy with a sword on there. I'm like, all right, this might be a cool game to pick up. Picked it up, played it, game kicked my ass nonstop. Never made it off the first level. So I was like, all right, this game is gonna go back to the store, and I never took it back. So the following spring, I saw it in my office, and I was like, huh, you kicked my ass. I never had that happen before. So I just kept playing it and kept playing it and kept playing it until I eventually made it through the game. And I was like, all right, cool. I understand how to play this game now. I'm addicted. So then they announced Dark Souls 1, and I was like, I need that. I need that right now. And it's just been a slippery slope ever since then. I still have that original game because that's a reminder of where I started from.
That's awesome.
No.
So you're the OG. You're the OG of the group. Yeah.
For real. Because for me, right, I didn't get into this until, if I'm not mistaken, it was Dark Souls 2. And that, once again, learning how stubborn I was, and just that true feeling of success, even with a guide, progressing in these games feels rewarding. Because like I said earlier, I'm one of those people, that's how, you know, your guys' content really resonates with me because it helps me. And I still feel joy and fulfillment. That feeling of victory over a moment that's been crushing you, when you're ready to turn off the console, when you're ready to play a different game. And yes, you want to go?
Future Souls player right there.
Yeah, for real, because she is on full difficulty.
Actually, hang on. I want to show you something real quick, since you said Dark Souls 2.
Yeah. But no,
to bring out like
it's
a
right.
Collectors or something. Collector's edition, maybe some.
I just see, look, I just remember constantly getting beat down.
I had started looking for cool collectibles of Dark Souls, right? Because there's not really a lot of them.
Nope.
And somebody had said, hey, there's a Japanese version of the game. And I was like, there's no way there is. And he's like, yeah. So they actually have a Japanese version of Dark Souls 2. It's in a case. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And if you open up the case, it has all the weapons from the
What?
game.
Oh shoot.
This thing is hard to find.
Dude.
Super hard to find.
I know
That's
that
nice.
axe. I know that
This
axe.
This is never going anywhere. Never.
Oh. And that looks metal too. It doesn't even look
Yeah,
It is.
that's
plastic.
cool.
Everything is metal. Everything
See?
in there is metal.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Whoo. Whoo. Bordy, right? Much love. First off, much love to everybody hanging out in the chat. Emmanuel, Fame, Salas, Bordy, Dallas. Much love to you guys. Wall, I appreciate y'all. But yes, so moving forward. Now let's jump to the present and why we are here. 2023, outside of Soulslikes, has been one of
Crazy.
the craziest, insane years of gaming, period. On top of that, for people who love getting their butt kicked for fun, there was a lot of games for us. And I know in the thumbnail, I have Lies of P, I have Remnant 2, and I have Lords of the Fallen. Now, is there any other big ones that I'm missing?
For this year?
Yeah.
Wulong was pretty big. I mean,
Yeah.
No.
for us, I guess.
No,
For me.
Wulong was huge because it had that boss fight in the very beginning that was weeding out a crap ton of people. I almost stopped playing.
It was Lubu.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And one thing I'll say about Wulong, and I'm glad you brought this up. I felt like it had way too many two-phase bosses. That was my biggest complaint. I feel like every boss doesn't need to be a two-phase boss.
So you felt like maybe they tacked it on like it wasn't necessary for some of them?
And then it
okay.
weeded out its player base way too much. Clearly I'm all for
Possible.
difficulty.
That's possible.
Dude.
And that game was on Game Pass as well. A lot of
Yes.
people were playing on
Yeah.
Game Pass,
Yeah,
and
well.
that, I'm sure a lot of them got weeded out because they probably
Yeah.
never touched a Souls before or a Neo or nothing like that. So
And
I
that's
feel you on that. That makes sense.
yeah, and then that's why of course the completion on that was higher on the PlayStation console because in my opinion most Souls people I know they play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't think when I think Souls games I don't think Xbox. That's just
Yeah,
just
percentage is usually lower
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Usually, yeah.
And dude, you are bugging out. You never do this. What's going on?
I could never have my son on my lap for anything like
No,
this. He would be grabbing everything.
You know what's crazy? She's usually always here. Like I basically raised her on camera, and today she is just now she's laying down being a sweetheart. Yeah, because she knows what's up.
She knew you were talking about her.
Yeah,
No, I'm
like
not.
no, dude, like you
No,
don't
I'm
do
not.
this. She's waving. Look, yeah, like dude, like no, I promise, guys.
They're so smart. They're
Yeah.
way smarter than we think. I
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you, they're
100%.
geniuses.
She knows what's going on. But
That's funny.
but I think that was a big factor. So with that, and Erica's now that I got you, hi. What what do you think of this year's Soulslikes? And what really stood out with these titles for you?
For me, what really stood out? We just talked about Wulong. I really enjoyed Wulong. I thought it was great. And it wasn't super difficult to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't beat this game. I don't think I really had that thought. So to me, that was a bit refreshing because, yeah, I do like getting my ass kicked, but it was much more of a doable ass kicking because I streamed it and I kind of appreciated that, you know what? I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to eventually beat these bosses. So it made my streams fun and like not a lot of pressure. I really enjoyed streaming that game. So Wulong, I think, will stand out when it comes to the whole year. Lies of P is another one. My gosh, that game was awesome. I know we're going to talk about the awards and all of that. I'm really glad it got nominated because it deserves it. It got nominated for a few awards, so I thought that was great. Remnant 2, of course, loved it. What else did I play? I played Blasphemous 2. I didn't beat it. I'm like right at the end.
I
And
love that game. That game was so much fun.
Did
And
you
the
beat
two is
it?
out. No.
Ah,
No.
that game,
Too much
it
stuff
kicked
going
my
on.
yeah, there's a lot going on, so I had to drop it kind of, but also I was getting my ass kicked on this specific boss. He was just tearing me up. So Yeah, and you know what sucked about that is I looked up a guide for this boss. That just tells you, because I rarely look up guides. So if I'm looking up a guide, that means I am going through it. So I looked up a guide just to see, like, maybe I'm missing something. There's an easy kind of cheese for this boss. There was a cheese, but it got patched. Before I went to the boss, there was an item you could kind of spam and like use over and over, and it wouldn't work for me. So I was like, damn it, man. So I put it down for a bit, and I think I switched to Armored Core, possibly. Yeah, because Armored Core came out the next day. So I think I just was like switching back and forth. But anyways, that game was tough. Blasphemous 2. It's an awesome game, though. What else? Lords of the Fallen. I don't have a lot to say because I dropped it. I want to hear Keith's thoughts on this game. I'm sure he'll fill you guys in way more. That game just didn't click with me. Unfortunately, it did not. But other than that, I mean, I will definitely hold 2023 as one of the best Souls years. I mean, we got a good variety of them, and they were in the eyes of, what am I trying to say? Like the casual market a bit more. Like they were kind of more, I think it was establishing more this year, like this is not niche. We knew this was not niche anymore, but I think to even the casual market now, they're starting to see it after Elden Ring. And then now for this year, I think it's just further pushing. These games aren't going anywhere, and they're getting better. Like the non-From Software games are learning, and they're improving on a lot of things, and they're polishing what maybe wasn't so polished in the past. They're getting better and better. So I'm going to remember 2023 for that, like pushing it forward to people beyond us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and it's crazy because, like you brought up, we didn't have to go deep dive to find these games.
Yeah.
Like that was something that was truly special about this year. And of course, all of this, in my opinion, is due to Elden Ring. Elden Ring and the social media push that it had, especially across all social media, whether it was Instagram, TikTok, especially TikTok. TikTok really pushed Elden Ring.
Big time.
And I mean, I had people who never played these types of games call me. Like, hey, what's this Elden Ring? Like, I see a lot of people talking about it, and I'm like, bro, don't do it. Like, I was on warning people. Like, no.
When Elden Ring got a TV commercial, I was like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
The marketing was insane for Elden Ring. I remember that. I remember seeing, there was something, was there like buses or there's something going on? I was like, oh.
Yeah, there were buses in certain places. Yes.
And the commercials. Yeah, I remember that. That was a big deal. Yeah.
And
insane year.
No, it really was. And so that kicked down a lot of doors and really made it. That's just a grilled cheese on my shirt now. And that made it so much more not accessible, but it just gave a lot of visibility to the genre, and I'm truly grateful for it. So Keith, what stood out to you? And of course we're gonna lean on you for Lords of the Fallen because I didn't touch it.
Well, obviously the fact that we had a lot of high quality Souls-like games come out this year, a lot of them, which is great. Biggest standout for me this year was Lies of P. Lies of P's demo ran like a dream.
It did.
It came out of nowhere from a developer who's never worked on a Souls-like game ever. The demo was polished. The combat was polished. Everything screamed quality. The full game came out, was nothing less than what the demo was. It was amazing. The only thing I didn't like about that, and I had a conversation about some people about what actually a Souls-like is it was too linear. There was no exploration. It was go here, go here, go here, go here, go here, done. For me, a Souls-like has to have some kind of exploration, and that game did not have it. It doesn't detract from it being a bad game. No, it's a fantastic game. I loved it. Me and Erica were talking about the game, talking about certain bosses that were kicking our ass at one point. I love that game. Remnant 2. One of my favorite games of all time. It simply is.
So good.
It's not better than Dark Souls 3, but it's great.
It got snubbed. No, okay. See, look, remember when I told you guys all the plan I had is going to go out the window?
What happened?
Where are we going?
Remnant 2 should have been in Game of the Year conversations, but you could say that about so many other games this year.
That's crazy.
And
you think so? I mean, there's so many games. Like, it's difficult.
let me tell you why. Let me give you my.
Okay, go ahead.
Rise of P? Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Yes.
Okay.
Price point came in swinging at $60.
Mm-hmm.
It was it had the shooter element, way better multiplayer. Jump in, jump out multiplayer. And a Souls game is a godsend, and that for people, because even though I play a crap ton of them, I still consider myself a casual within the space. So knowing that at any time I can be like, Keith, help, and Keith can show up without me having to sacrifice an item, without me having to go paint something on the ground, without me having to put a handprint. If you guys played Hellpoint, you had to put handprints on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't stick with that one.
I got the collector's edition. Don't look.
I forgot about that game.
But remember, you had to put a handprint on a wall. Somebody had to be within the same general part of Earth.
No, did they have to touch it? I never did the multiplayer on that.
Yes, it was horrible.
That game was terrible.
It was horrible.
So
I couldn't play it.
Oh God, I loved it so much that I bought the collector's edition. Matter of fact, I think this coin is the limited run. Yep. Hellpoint. The Hellpoint. You can't really see it.
You just got that thing sitting on your desk right there.
Yep. Dude, I love that horrible game. But that's beside the point.
I legit forgot about that game. That's
funny.
Yeah.
But the game, but Remnant 2's multiplayer, explorability, replayability, there's so many things there that make it more than just your typical Souls-like experience.
Oh, yeah.
And that is why
definitely
any other year it would be talked about as Game of the Year. Its only sin was being in 2023. But
can I toss in there? This is me being me. I'm gonna jump off the PC, the polite person, and be honest. I don't think this game made it to be a Game of the Year contention. It's because it is a Souls-like, and because the people who were brought on to do the Game of the Year selection don't play these games. That's it.
Yeah,
that's a big factor.
No, that's huge.
These are people that write an article or do a video and go, "I'm not good at these games. I don't like these games." Well, damn, you already just shot the game in the foot.
Yeah. Not realize. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say a devil's advocate though would be, well, Elden Ring did it last year, and then
I think Elden Ring did it because it was the hype.
It was the hype. It was the impact. That's true. Yeah.
Why are you asking me what this game is?
Yeah.
You don't play games.
Yeah.
Everybody asked what Elden Ring was.
It was
and then people bought the game and they're like, "This game
sold like crazy too. It's sold like crazy." So yeah.
I want to see the stats on the returns for Elden Ring. That's what I want to see. I want to see how many copies were returned within the first quarter of its being sold.
That would be interesting. But it was determined that it was the most quit game of the year. It was the most beaten and most quit.
Boom.
Because it wasn't what people thought it was.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They thought it was probably going to be like an Assassin's Creed type, or it's this lovely little open world, and it's beautiful and it's pretty and it's big.
I can see people thinking it being an Assassin's Creed type game.
Does Sekiro have that hype? No.
Not that I remember.
Sekiro, I mean,
did not do well. It did not do well at all.
It had the hype amongst us because it was something different, and it was an action game or whatever. But compared to Elden Ring, not even close.
I'm wondering
sell pretty
that's
good.
Why we're not getting a DLC or a follow up to that true ending. I'm still waiting on that from software. Still waiting on that.
Well, let me tell you what made me avoid that one at all costs. Still to this day, I haven't even played it.
Don't say it.
Parrying is required.
He said it.
Yeah,
he said.
You don't like to parry?
Fuck no. My timing is trash, and then
I'm horrible at parrying. Everybody knows this. I say it all the time.
And then I pick up and put down so many games that I would have to almost restart the game every time just to get my timing back. Like, you can't be
Right.
halfway through one of these Souls games and all of a sudden just jump right back into it. I got to get back to form. I gotta go into the lab. Like, and that usually means replaying the game over again. And that's why I have so much time in Dark Souls too. Because I'm quick to be like, oh, let's start it over. Like, I don't remember how I got here. I don't remember where I need to go. What build was this? What was I going for? Reset. She's eating. That's why she's quiet. But no. So, but yeah, parrying. That if parrying is required to get through the game, like it's Mando, I'm not playing it. Like it's just not.
Did you play Lies of P?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's why I'm leaning on you guys. Yeah, I haven't played
Lies
it.
of P, you could dodge, but you're gonna have some struggles.
They made it better. They made
Okay.
it better, so now people can get around it.
Right.
When it first came out, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
you had
to
it was
parry some
parry
attacks.
god. Like you had to.
Not exactly, but there were a lot of stuff you needed to parry, or you were going to get screwed over.
You had
See?
to learn it, especially at certain specific bosses. There's always that one that's like the skill check. You know, in Sekiro, it was Genichiro and Sekiro, and then Lies of P had a couple too where I was like, yep. Like I would fight it one time. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to parry. Like I'm gonna have to get good.
If you got to the final boss at the end of Lies of P,
Yeah.
you needed to parry,
Mm-hmm.
or you were not beating him.
Yeah, parrying could be rough. I feel you, Baron. Like I
Yeah.
still get through these games. Like I'll force myself to get good, but I am still not that good at parrying. I'm really not.
Every
So I feel you.
fight, like I think of Elden Ring, every fight I avoided or got a lot of help with was heavy parrying. The big snake dude in the middle of the dungeon, like it wasn't a mandatory boss. The dragon snakehead guy, yes, child.
Not the guy. Wait, do
The
you
one
remember the name?
he had two forms. He was like an old king or something like that in Elden Ring, off in the fire area with the snake head guys.
Yeah, that you
Him.
could cheese that boss.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I didn't know
I actually
that.
made a video that so how to
I
beat
have a
this
video
guy.
too.
See, look,
A video too.
look. These guys.
Yeah.
This you guys see why they're my sources. And then, I never went for what was her name, Melina. Because as soon as I
Melina.
seen
Or Melina.
It wasn't mandatory, but you had to just to go get your ass kicked.
no, I'm good. I see.
It was like a rite of passage.
Yeah,
You had
when
to just do it.
I
Yeah.
seen
You had
one
the
video
guy
and I was like,
help everybody. Like
Yeah.
this one dude just help everybody.
yeah.
See, here's the thing. I was lucky enough to get Elden Ring for review, and they gave it to us like nearly a month. And
That's
I got to
awesome.
her, and I was like, I can't beat this
Yeah.
girl. What's going? It took me forever to get past her.
See, but
Yeah, she's rough.
no, but that's so for me. If parrying is a requirement, that's usually where I kind of like step back. Like, hey, this is just where I'm trash to a point where I can't even enjoy it.
I feel you on that one.
And it's only because I pick up and put down so many games. Like I'm rotating through 4 or 5 games at any given time. And as you guys, at least how I feel about them, you really can't do that with too many Souls games. Like because you got to keep your timing. You gotta like there's for me. I feel like I'm in like there's a tune that I'm trying to step to when I'm playing a lot of these games. And the moment that I put it, like Elden Ring, I'll probably never go back to, even though I beat it. I'll probably never go back to it. Not because I thought it was a bad game or there's nothing I wouldn't want to do, but it just having to build back up to that point, it would be like I'm really ready sitting in to play it over again. And it's just
I
too
feel you on
many
that
games.
one. It's just for me for Elden Ring. It just I went through everything. I went through the adventure. I'm done. What am I going to do differently this time? There's no reason for me to go back.
So speaking on going back to
feel you.
things, something that I know a lot about, Remnant 2. Now, how do you guys feel about the RNGesus, the random rolls of this game?
Well, okay, so at first, when I got to that area with the don't remember what it's called. It was like the open world type looking area, outdoors, purplish type area. You had to find the pyramid,
the Fae
the
area, or the red
Eon
one.
or whatever the hell it was. Well, I didn't like it because I couldn't find this specific item. I was looking everywhere, and then I had looked it up. That yeah, it's randomized, and you don't know exactly where it's going to be. So there weren't any guides that helped. So at that moment, my frustration was like, I don't like this. But then I found it. I eventually made a how-to. It did really well because no one else was really answering where this thing is at. So that video kind of kicked off my Remnant 2 content, which was awesome. So maybe that has to play that has a play in this, but it grew on me. You know, I actually enjoyed that, and the fact that I could re-roll the adventures, see different things, and knowing that there's bosses that I haven't even seen yet, it gave me more reason to play more and more, you know. So to this day, there's still a couple bosses I just cannot find. I haven't seen them, I haven't found them. So that just gives me more reason to go back and play again. So it grew on me, and it made me realize, like, I like this because it wasn't a one and done. I did all the bosses, I'm done. It's like, no, I can still go back. And even with the DLC, which is out today,
Right?
we can still do that too. Yeah, I'm going through it, right? I'm going through it. There's doors I can't open. I never found a way to get through there. I'm like, I'm going to get that later. I'm going to go back again. And so I love it. I feel like it grew on me, and it's what I think makes the game even better and deserving of the praise, because for it to work that well and to be that satisfying and to keep us playing that much, that says something for a Souls, in my opinion. Especially a shooter Souls. Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's
awesome.
I honestly look at Remnant as a solid intro to people wanting to get into the series. Like, to get into the genre.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you think you want to do this before you go buy Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, before you do all that, play Remnant. If you can get through Remnant, you will enjoy a lot of these other games too. You'll find the love in it, the love for it, because a lot of the structure is there. But with the random rolls, what I like so much about it is I don't mind going and just picking up and jumping in somebody's world. Like, this is what's crazy was because I got to review this one during before it released, before, not just the DLC, but before it released, and it was so dope being able to just jump into people's worlds to not only get weapons I didn't get, or even this is the point I was trying to make before I jump over the keys, because I'm rambling. I still haven't fought most of the bosses that are in the commercial for the game, and I beat the game.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I got over 70 hours in it. Like, I've played this game, and it's so trippy that you can go watch the commercial right now, the main official release trailer, and there's a dude on this antelope horse thing.
Oh, you didn't fight that?
You didn't fight him?
Oh.
Haven't fought him. I think I went to fight the eyeball robot guy, but then I got booted or the server dropped, and then I haven't got that roll back again. But
I'm gonna go watch the trailer again.
Yeah, there's like 2 bosses that I didn't fight, and they look like major battles. But I think that's something it makes it special in a way. Because I don't mind jumping into other people's worlds, and I think it creates a community. I think it's a good way to create a community.
Yeah.
But Keith, what you think about it?
So I am 50% both ways. The randomness really got on my nerves at times, because when I was trying to get access to certain bosses or certain weapons, I couldn't. But at the same time, it gave the game a unique feel. That's also something I put in my review about this game, or Remnant 2, The Awakened King, because there are multiple locations that are in the same pool as the same levels from the base game. So half the time you'll get the new levels, and half the times you won't get the new levels. So the problem is the new levels have things like, can I spoil stuff here?
I would say go for it, because I remember... Because what you're gonna, if it's what I think you're gonna spoil, it's not even really a spoiler.
I mean, I already made a video for every one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's a mini quest to get access to the I'm gonna say it wrong. The ritualist scythe. There's a mini quest to get that. That's locked in a world or location that is random. Um, there's another one for another weapon, which really sucks. And if you don't get access to it, you can't get to it. There's a really cool boss fight that is also in a random location. So, you know, and then there's there's also another gun. This is how sneaky these guys are. And they put in these different locations, and then they also put in different methods within these locations. So, for example, for everybody listening, pay attention because I did a video about this, but I want to tell you, if you ever run into a location called the derelict lighthouse, do not leave. Fight the two apparitions there. Go to the lighthouse. Go to the bottom. Interact with the key to open the door to get the gun first. Don't go upstairs to get the ring because you will lose that key and you're locked out. You will never get that key again.
I got locked out of the mansion.
They're wild for that. Yeah, there's moments in this game like that.
I'm trying to find. I think there's another purple on the Furlong coast that I can't get to. I've been trying to figure out how to get to it. These guys are the gun that they kept teasing you. I have not found that yet.
See, this is the same, folks. Just to give you guys some perspective, if you really don't know much about Remnant and Gunfire Games, right? It was Gunfire Games who made it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I always hate slipping up on developers and publishers, but these guys put in a whole class with a whole set of abilities and perks behind data mining.
That was wild.
Like you had to depend on somebody out there data mining the game to then not only find the information and find the items, but then to take the time to publish it for everybody else to get access to it. Like these are the people we're dealing with. So
that community was awesome. Like you said, that community was so amazing. We were all trying to figure out what exactly is going on. How do we do this? It's great. I would probably say the Remnant community is better than the Dark Souls community.
Ooh,
they're a lot warmer.
That's not the starter fight, but I wouldn't say warmer.
They're nicer.
I would say they're nice. They're more open for information and to talk to you and to help you get through a level.
I could agree with that.
The Souls community, the Dark Souls community early on was very toxic. Get good. You suck at this. No, I remember those days. They've gotten better. They've gotten completely better.
Let me tell you.
But the early days were terrible.
I think that has to do with the way the multiplayer is set up. I really believe that.
In Remnant,
the reason why it's so community-based is because everything about it is community. From the moment you boot up the game to go to pick what you want to do, as soon as one of the first things you see on the screen is join. You hit join, and then all these little circles pop up with all these names of players, all these different worlds, and you can just jump right in. And then even if they don't want to deal with you, the moment they hit a checkpoint, you load into their world or they boot you. And which
they'll boot you really quick too.
Yeah.
They will.
But I think that way that Gunfire Games established the multiplayer and set that framework is what created that, I use the word warm space, that welcoming space, because it's like, dude, I need help. Yeah, it and then it's just so easy to jump in and out. Like, man. And then you're rewarded for jumping in and out, or jumping into somebody's world. If I jump into your world a minute before we jump into a boss fight and we beat the boss, I've never beat him, I get his loot drops. Or I get a trait point if I did beat him. They reward you. And I think that's a huge factor. Oh, I got a little quiet now. Oh my.
Like it sets the tone of helping one another and being more welcoming in that way. I could see that. And
and to go on to that, like you said, like when we first started playing it, Remnant 2, and we were talking about how what is it? The online looks now, like now you can see different people with different locations, where they're at, how many people are in the group, what level they're on,
No,
and
that's
you can decide you can see everything now instead of blindly jumping into a world.
yes,
They want that interactivity. I really like
yes,
that.
and
Yeah.
and I just like that you're rewarded for it. Like you, whether it's building up XP on one of your archetypes, whether it's and I'm speaking. So, folks, I'm speaking a lot about Remnant 2 because that's the Souls like I spent the most time in this year. Out of all of them, I did play some Wulong, got my butt kicked horribly, and then picked up something else. But definitely, Remnant 2 was that game for me. So, now Keith, can you actually school us on Lords of the Fallen? Because I didn't touch it at all, and Erica
I
had
dropped it.
beef. Oh, I'm like,
I had beef. I had beef. I still do.
I beef with it.
Well,
literal beef.
well, at first, we know how it launched, right? I mean, the performance was really awful. I was playing on
still
PS5.
terrible.
PS5 performance was terrible. It still has issues. So that was a big part of it. And also the enemies, the placement of enemies, and like we talked about before, you were talking about exploring and that being very important, and to me that's important too. And I just wasn't getting that sense of like I want to explore this place. Like it never really came to me because I was running half the time. It was the same enemies over and over chasing me for forever.
Okay.
And it's going to sound like a get good thing and be like, just get good and fight them. And I did, I did my Souls thing. I fought them. But I guess after dying a few times and having the same enemies just chase me over and over, I just ended up running. And that bothered me. And I was like, why am I running? I usually don't do this in Souls games. And it just didn't hit me the way I thought it would hit me. And like I said, the performance was a big issue though for me.
All right.
And there's a lot more to it. I can't really gather my thoughts, but that's kind of the main things.
Yeah, we talked about it. The performance is still bad. I played on PC, so I didn't have as bad of an issue as many people did, but it was still bad. Honestly, I just played the game and was like, hey, it reminds me a lot how I first started playing Demon Souls. So I went in with that approach. Like, it's going to kick my ass. I need to pay attention. But as I started playing, I just started learning the enemy types, what worked better against the enemies, and just learning when to run and when not to run. And eventually I just started farming, to be honest, and just overpowered my character to the point where most things couldn't really bother me. And unfortunately, that was one of the ways I got through the game, was just overpowering things. And you shouldn't have had to do that. And then I'm still not a super big fan of it, but I beat it. I had to beat it. It was basically, you're not going to beat me. That's the philosophy I have. But I have an issue with the developers. I mean, I love the fact that they're going back and fixing the games and trying to make it a better game. That's fantastic. But when you find an exploit and you are using that exploit, like for example, I found a way to farm a game. If you found a way to farm a game in a Souls game or a From Software game, they're not going to care. They're going to go, okay, fine. You find a way to level up. Fantastic. These guys were hell-bent on stopping people from farming certain things.
I
and then when
saw
somebody
that.
found say again?
No, I just said I saw that. I saw that they had patched
seen
things
that.
They were
and
like,
whatever.
they kept patching. And it's like, okay, guys, you're taking out the fun of the game.
It's
if
the
somebody's
joy.
found something out, stopping them from having fun.
Right.
Yep.
I get it. You have PvP, but your PvP sucks. So maybe
really
take it
bad.
out of the game. It's not fun. Your PvP, it's garbage because it's based on your network system. Your code is terrible. Your network code is terrible. Half the time, people will jump in, and the only person who have an advantage was the host. If you were the person they jumped into your world, you were screwed. It didn't make a difference. So just stop. And then it got to the point where other people were so super farmed like you were that they would do a lightning spell and one-shot your ass. So, okay, now your balancing sucks. So maybe you should let PvP out of the game. But I get it. You want to be like From Software. See, I'm not a big fan of the game. It was more, okay, I dealt with it.
Your tolerance was high for it. See, maybe mine was just low because I had come from Lies of P where I felt it was mad polished.
Exactly.
Beautiful boss fights. Like I felt the boss fights were really inspired and creative. And then when I fought a boss and killed it the first try on a few bosses in Lords of the Fallen, where they were just kind of not really climatic. It was very anticlimactic. You'd go through this area that wasn't that great to begin with. I went through it. I get to the boss and I'm like, this boss sucks. It wouldn't hit me in the way I feel a Souls should hit. You know, we talk about boss fights.
Were very uninspired. But you know what really pissed
Very
me off?
uninspired.
When some of the boss fights some of the better fights were at the end, which was really sad. Like the cleric fight was the cleric judge fight was amazing. It was amazing. But you had to get through everything to get to her. But what really pissed me off is there was a lot of fights that forced you to go on Umbra. And it's like, but bruh,
Yeah.
if I die in Umbra, I'm dead. But if I die in my regular form, I can come back in Umbra. That was the whole point. Now you're forcing me to fight somebody in Umbra. That kind of goes against your design philosophy, right? So what exactly are you doing here?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, because that would be your last life, essentially.
Yeah. And I get it. You know, you play all these other Souls games and you only have one life, and I get it. But don't introduce something. Don't go and say, oh, but if you die, you get another chance to live, fight on. And then you force me to go and lose that other life. Like, I don't understand that. But I did love the interconnectivity of that. That reminded me so much of the first Dark Souls. There were traversing different locations. You eventually would find your way back to what was it? Skyrest Bridge. There was like 4 different ways you can find your way back, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I like that." But it took forever to eventually find your way through. And yeah, there were a lot of enemies. Like I remember going to one location where I had to fight like the bears or dogs, and then fight the guys with shields, and then I go down. Another thing that pissed me off is the umbral that they use, where they would make enemies invincible. So you had to find a little thing
to expose them and then weaken them.
But they're beating my ass while I'm trying to do that. So I can't do it because they're beating my ass. So all right, I'm gonna go to Umbra form. Oh great, now that makes everything harder. And if you sit there too long, hey, the red guy's
more enemies.
Like what the
I remember I'd be with the lantern. I'm trying to like find the little parasite or whatever the hell that is to kill it. I'm getting hit by projectiles. I'm like, where the frick is this thing at? You know, and you're trying to roll, and then you got the dog, fire. It was just like, oh my god. And a lot of people have complained about this. I've read a lot of like Steam reviews and stuff, and it's so divisive. Yeah, people love it and people hate it. And the ones who hate it, they complain about that, where it's just like the same enemies over and over. And it takes away the fun, because instead of it having like an authentic difficulty, it's more so they're just throwing more enemies on the screen, and it's more annoying than actually difficult. Because we're not sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this is too hard, I can't do this. No, we've been playing these games for years. Like, obviously, we can play these games. We can get down with these games. We're good at these games. So it's not that. It's just the fact that you're throwing more enemies on the screen and saying, okay, now it's hard, instead of actually giving them better patterns maybe, or better placement to where it's difficult in that sense. It's like, no, they didn't do that. They just threw more on the screen and said, okay, now it's difficult. And that's where I had an issue with it, like where it wasn't really fun to go through these enemies over and over. You know what I mean?
It's not a bad game, but there's a lot to be desired. And I think you said it better. I just have a different threshold because I played a lot of games. I'm like, but I get through them.
See,
you're saying in the chat, it sounds complicated.
Yeah,
it is. Like on paper, I mean, it's cool. Sorry to cut you off, Baron, but I was gonna say with the lantern and like the different universes or whatever, you go back and forth. That's cool. Like, I like that idea, and the fact that they implemented it with bosses. Like, you got to find, how to, kill the parasite or whatever to beat the boss. But sometimes it was just a little forced, and maybe that's where you're coming from, Keith, where you had to like go into Umbral, and like it's like, was that really necessary? Like, why not just make the boss a bit better, more creative?
A boss that you cannot go into its room unless you were in Umbral form.
I didn't get to that one yet.
So it's like, what am I supposed to do?
What's the point? Yeah.
And I hate when it comes to a game like this, don't give me the illusion of choice. Like when it comes to Souls games, the illusion of choice is never the way to go. Like, I should be able to beat this game as an archer. I should be able to beat this game with a great sword. with a rapier, with my fist. Like if these are options, a good Souls like should allow me to beat this game wholeheartedly with any of the weapons that are available.
You
And
That's a
reminded me
good
of something
point.
real
That's a
quick,
good
Lauren.
point. Yeah, go for it,
You,
Keith.
I will say this. I do like the fact that there are multiple ways to beat the game, and given on which way you beat the game, you are at least rewarded. So, like, if you beat it without taking down the beacons, you get access to a dark class. If you go the light way, you get access to a light class. I do like that. I do like that there are a lot of different classes, but it kind of felt like I don't know. It's kind of like they kind of took that from Elden Ring. Like, here are all the classes you can have. Like, that's great. But all these other classes are weak because you got to get the stuff and build them up. But if you beat the game, you get this super overpowered class
Yeah.
and do it again. Like, oh, that's cool. But I got to go through the time I went to do all this stuff. My character is already super overpowered as it is. Why do I want to?
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
the fact that oh my god, the beacons. What are they? What
Oh,
the
yeah, I know what you're gonna say. The what are they called? Not
Yes, I'm trying to
beacons.
remember the actual
The
name
ones
for
you
them.
could make on the fly. You could make your own checkpoints.
Right. Oh, we're gonna make it harder for you in New Game 1 by taking them away.
Wait,
And the way they're placed is so bad because sometimes there's a little flower bed you can put it down, and then right around the corner there's an actual checkpoint. It's like you could have wasted it, which I did a few times. I wasted my seed,
There was one.
and there's one right around the
the-
corner.
the-
I didn't even have to do
the
it.
Skin boss, skin reader boss,
So
like that.
dumb.
There was one. There was one you can make yourself at the bottom of the step. One you can make at the top of the step, and it's like, and then you beat the boss, you can make one. Like, so there was 3 of them, right there. Why?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But I will give them credit, the devs, because they have listened to a lot of feedback. They really, I mean, the patches, they just keep coming. It's insane.
Oh yeah, nonstop.
It's insane. And they listen to things like the whole elevator issue. You couldn't roll over the elevator to send it back. That's a Souls little trick you do to send the elevator back so you don't have to do it again, right?
yeah.
At first you couldn't do that. It would close on you and you would get stuck on there. So they
I would
fixed
try
that.
and roll out as fast as I can, so it would go.
Oh, I tried. I
Otherwise,
tried my
going there.
hardest. I'm like, let me just see if I could do it because I don't want to give misinformation
So
if I'm going
beating
to
the
talk about it on my
frames.
channel. And the frames are dropping. But yeah, so they fixed that and they fixed other things. So I'm like, okay, kudos for that. But really, it just goes to show you, like, man, this game wasn't ready, man. Like, I feel like it could have been delayed to next year. I think that would have been
It needed to get
wise.
delayed.
Yeah, it needed it. But it's just one of those games I think that was better on paper, and they tried to claim it was going to be like the next gen Souls, and so it had this kind of hype meter to it, and me included. I was very hyped for Lords of the Fallen, so
And then
my
this
disappointment was even higher.
And this was supposed to be its second chance, right? Because this is a reboot,
Yeah,
It's
that too.
better than the original game.
of course.
Mhm.
Hey,
Original.
can we talk about that for a second? So
Go for it.
it was
See,
Lords of the
I love
Fallen,
this.
right? And then it was this game, but it was supposed to be Lords of the Fallen 2. And then it didn't turn to be Lords of the Fallen 2. So then everybody's like, so is it a reboot of the game? But then when you play the game, you find out it's not a reboot of the game because it's the same freaking world and the events happen from Lords of the Fallen. So it's actually Lords of the Fallen 2. And if you play it on PC, the executable is Lords of the Fallen 2. So what is
Freaking
it?
PC guys finding out all the secrets. You guys ruin everything. No.
They ruin everything.
But
I mean, like, the
no.
main guy from the first game is in the game still. So it's like you have to have played the first game to know who he was.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
So was it necessary? Okay, because one thing
No.
I will say, I've
wasn't
never been a lore person. Never.
Oh,
With
my
these
God.
games, it's all about the meat grinder. Like,
Oh
I'm
my
sitting
God.
here just getting beat up and I want to succeed, and it's like a trophy, and it's like I did it. Now, can I tell you why I did it? Can I tell you why I became the Lord of Light or whatever? No. Do I know why I had to beat the hell out of all these people and send these spirits to the nether realm? No. I just
Oh man,
did.
I love lore. There are so many lore channels out there for games. I can just sit there
It's
for
interesting.
hours and just find out things you used to have no idea what's going on, or the stuff you found out outside of the game or inside the game we just need to pay super attention to. Like, I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Vaveni, what is it? Ravati. He is like one of the biggest Souls
Oh,
lore
Vati?
person out there. Yeah,
Oh,
love
Vati,
watching
yeah.
his love watching his stuff. Love it.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Nerds.
His-
Oh no.
I mean, yeah.
That's
I mean, you
super
gotta be a nerd to
interesting.
love this stuff.
No,
Yeah.
no, it is very interesting. And I love hearing people gush about it. And I love hearing people talk about it because it's super dope. But I promise you, as somebody who reads a lot and listens to audiobooks on a regular basis, I didn't get none of that shit from playing the game.
No,
Y'all
because
did some
it's
deep
not in your
dive.
face. I mean, you
Exactly.
kind of go out your way, listen to Vati Vidya, or because when I played Bloodborne, and this is part of the reason I loved it so much, because I actually stumbled upon some lore videos, and then I started to realize that okay, this is super interesting. And I remember, I don't know who it was, but somebody in the community did a whole book, like an online book where they typed it up themselves, all the lore pieces and the complete story of
Oh
Bloodborne.
damn.
And it was like on a Word doc, whatever. What is that called? Where you share documents? Yeah, maybe that's
Oh,
what
like a
it is.
Google
What it is.
Doc?
Google Doc. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah, I just
that's
call it a living doc.
And
Yeah.
and
that's
I think they would all
badass.
kind of contribute to it as they went and found
Oh.
out the lore. And I had it saved on my old computer, and I just completely lost it. I don't know where it went, but I remember as I was playing Bloodborne, I would go through it and read some of it, and then I'd watch videos from Vati Vidya or whoever, and I just fell in love with it. I'm like, damn, I want to do this for every game. But then I kind of didn't. Like Dark Souls 3, I looked at a little bit. Elden Ring, I didn't look at a damn thing. And I always thought, like, I'm going to do this over and over. But for whatever reason, I just kind of left it for Bloodborne. That was like my thing. And yeah, so I'm with you. Like, I don't really go out my way too much for lore. But when I do hear something, like whether it's like a tweet or somebody else is talking about it, I'm like, man, that's super interesting.
It's
Like
always
it kind of gives
badass.
context.
It's
Yeah.
always super badass. Like it never misses.
Yeah.
I miss it. Like because it's whether it's I'm pretty good at context clues, but you gotta really be, at least from my perspective, and I consider myself, I always did good with reading comprehension. Um, so when,
It's funny.
yeah, like as somebody, I'm a learned man. When I play these games, the story is like I'll catch bits and pieces, but it's never really, at least for sure with like the Souls series.
I want to stop you because I want to add something to what you're saying. This is exactly why Remnant 2 is such a good game. Because it tells the story in
It
the
tells
game.
the story.
Yeah, and there's no like I know what happened to Clem. Like I know who
Yeah.
Clem is. I know why she's important. No spoilers here, but no. Okay,
We just don't know where Forrest's ass is. Where is he?
you already heard my theory. I think he's God, and I think we're living in his world. But that beside the point. I really do, because he's not even on the cover of the game. Freaking what is her name? Nemu or Nemo or
Nemo.
yeah,
What? They pronounce it.
Nemu.
They pronounce it in the
Nemu.
game. So you know, is that how
I
they pronounce
forget.
it?
Yeah,
I forget.
I forget, but the
I'm
Fae
I'm
Queen.
terrible with names.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know.
terrible.
Nemu. You know what? I'm gonna fire up the game and listen to it. I want to hear how they say her name again.
Right? And I've only seen her twice. Now that I think about it, I feel like I wouldn't even know where to go find her. But this is what I love about the game, is that there's stuff that's major events that I feel like I couldn't just do off the top of my head, fresh off of a playthrough. And it's not, in my opinion, a bad thing. But speaking on that, and obviously from how much I've been going on about Remnant 2, and the fact that I put enough time into it to give a full conversation around it, what games do you feel should have been nominated for certain awards? Like I know Erica, you were kind of spot on with a lot of your predictions. Can you kind of go into detail about that? With
Kind of
genre?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a video where I just focused on the Souls games this year and where I think, they'll get nominated. And I did call Remnant getting Best Action, Remnant 2, so it's nominated for that. And I guessed, well, it's not really a guess, it's pretty easy to predict, but I predicted Lies of P getting the most nominations, which it did, out of all these games we're talking about. I did not think any of them were going to be nominated for Game of the Year, just because they are Souls games we talked about earlier. Like it's very difficult. Elden Ring was, of course, From Software they're the godfather of this stuff. So obviously From Software is at a higher level. They just do things much better. And Elden Ring was so big that it was a given. But just in general, a Souls-like to get nominated for Game of the Year, that's very tough to do. So I knew that probably wouldn't happen. It's just such a packed year. But as far as like games I felt should have been nominated in what category, I really was hoping to see Wolong get in there, but I knew that was a tall order. Like I was just thinking it's going to be tough, but I would have liked to see them for Best Action, because I felt since Neo was able to get nominated for a Best Action in the past, I thought, well, there's a chance, but different year then. That was 2017, and then now here we are, 2023. It was. So I guess that's what got me that belief, like, well, if they did it then, it could happen this year too. But with Lies of P in the mix, I think that's what kind of hurt the chances of the other games, because Lies of P was just so outstanding that Remnant 2, Wolong, they just had less of a chance. I think if Lies of P didn't come out this year, maybe another one would have like kind of snuck in there a little bit more. And like Blasphemous 2 got no nominations, not one. And that's an indie game that any other year probably would have been nominated, But that's a very difficult game. So maybe there's a lot of truth to what you were saying earlier, that or one of you were saying that these journalists and the people behind the voting, they just aren't good at these games, and they probably didn't beat them, and they probably didn't get the whole satisfaction of what that game could give. They just didn't see it to its fullest to say that's a badass game that needs to be in the discussion. They're never going to get to that place in their mind if they never beat it, or they just didn't. You know what I mean? They didn't get good.
5 hours into the game.
Well, and piggybacking off of that, and then I'm gonna jump to you, Keith. I think another issue with Wolong is people forgot about it.
Yeah,
I legit
it's
forgot.
just forgotten.
I honest to God forgot that it came out this year. Like, it totally forgot that it came out this year.
Even though Lies of P did a promotion or a cross promotion with the game,
they literally did. Yeah, so they tried to say, "Hey, remember them? Wolong, remember that one?"
And to you, Keith.
Honestly, I was a little frustrated for a couple of them. This is really a grasp here, but I really thought Lies of P should have gotten best score in music.
Yes, that too.
Really should have gotten in there.
It should have.
It got snubbed. So there was that. I think Remnant 2 should have got in there for best community support.
100%.
100%. Why is No Man's Sky still there? Gone. Get them gone.
Final
Fantasy
like 14
every year. Is it
Final
there
Fantasy
like
14, No Man's Sky, and Destiny.
Destiny 2.
Every year. Like there's no other new games to come.
Tell me what Bungie is doing that has been positive for the community, other than making shitty Destiny 2 expansions and pissing off his community. Nothing.
You got to grab
and laying off. They laid off. How many people they just laid off too? So it's like, dude,
community support.
It's fire. Somebody on Twitter said, and shout out to him. I'm so sorry. I'm rough paraphrasing. They were like, "Yeah, too bad nobody will be there to accept the award."
They're all fired.
Like, I was like,
I'm laughing at the situation.
Yeah,
not them being fired,
but just the irony.
It just sounds so silly. Yeah,
like it
just
sounds
silly.
like a bad joke. It's man. But keep going, Keith. Like,
I'm glad it's there, but Lies of P, no. Best RPG, why? No, not there. Not there.
Not really RPG.
No.
Yeah.
At all.
It is odd. It is odd.
It knows and tells you the people who... Baron, we've had these conversations.
Oh, yeah. This is like... That's a whole nother roundtable.
Won't say anything else.
That's a whole...
Best multiplayer presented by Discord. Have you guys not played this game called Remnant 2? Man. Let me tell you about this game.
Man.
It is fun. It and multiple people can play it, and you can drop in and drop out. It's fun.
And I'm gonna tell you, Remnant 2 isn't even the game I have the most hours in this year. Like, not even close. But it's still one of the best games I've played. And as much as I play multiplayer games, I'm a solo player. Like, I'll play Battlefield on my own. Like, I won't even party up. I'll play Call of Duty on my own. That's just how I've always been. I actually go out of my way to multiplayer because how many other Souls-like experiences do you get where you have a fun, engaging, easy to get into multiplayer? None.
Outside of the unofficial mod that was made for Elden Ring.
But serious, when can I just
Remnant
be like, hey,
2,
where you at? Dude, let me jump in.
Remnant 2 have the best online support for any Souls-like game.
You know how many times I've hit up somebody or hit up freaking Keith, like, hey, I'm in this space. All right, I'll leave it up and jump in. Like, I need help. Like, and we both get access to whatever we find in that place. It just, the fact that you're rewarded for your time, that's a big deal. Huge thing. You're rewarded for your time. It feels fresh. There's new experiences. Like I said, there's bosses in the commercial that I have not fought, and I've completed the game, and it just it's weird. It's weird. You know, I really.
And that's the thing. And this is why I was like talking to you the other day. It's like, wait, you put this game down? There's still stuff to find. Let's go. Keep going.
I pick up and put down games. I always warn people. This is a pro tip to anybody who ever wants to play games with me. Do not buy a game because I bought it. For the love of God, do not do it to yourself. Buy it because you want to play it, and Baron may be there to play with you. I will put down a game in a heartbeat. And it's just a weird, like, I'm finally got the money to buy the games I want, and I want to play them all. And I try to.
Hey, I'm sorry. People have been asking me questions about Remnant 2. I was answering the questions while talking.
Oh, no issues. But no, so I didn't mean to keep you guys too long. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you good. I'm having fun. So
no, in that okay.
It's not every day I could talk Souls.
Right?
All the time,
and this is 2023 has truly been a solid year, to the point to where I forgot about something that really took over the internet for a bit too, because of, we talked about it earlier. I forgot about Wulong. It caused problems. Like, there was a whole slew of people, like we talked about earlier, excuse me, dropping off the game simply because of one boss. Like, it was memes.
Liza P did that too. Let's be honest. Liza P did that too.
It did. Because the parrying was a big deal. That's a reason that some people don't like it, and they like Lords of the Fallen better, because you don't have to parry, and the focus on the parry on Liza P turned them off. And me, typically, you know, you would think maybe it would have turned me off too, because I'm not big on parrying. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I'm bad at it. So maybe that's the reason. But there's just so much in that game that would keep me going. So it was really hard for me to understand people not liking Liza P, because the freaking environments, the story is in your face too. It's a good story. The characters I thought were great. You know, there's so much more to it. The music, we talked about the music. And not only that, but you can find a way to dodge and make it work. Now it's a little bit better.
Parries, guys. There's a way to cheese parries.
Make the article and video, sir.
You can find a way, but see, if you're new to this genre, you don't have the patience yet. You haven't worked through the other games like we have to know that this is what it's about. You got to just beat your head against the wall a little bit and learn. They're gonna drop off easily.
I'm afraid to do an article or video about this, because then they'll take it out.
Oh. Yeah, isn't that weird?
You're gonna have to DM me this cheese. I want to see what you're talking about.
That's a good question.
If you get the shield, you can hold the shield down and keep holding. Let me see here. Hold the shield down and then keep hitting the R1 trigger or Left1 trigger, and it will instantly parry you. Parry.
Oh,
until you run out of the.
I'm about to play this game. See,
what is it?
I'm gonna play it now.
What is it? The resource. Do you run out of the resource? But as you level up that character, level up that ability, you can just keep doing it nonstop. If you watch some of my Liza P videos, you'll see I've actually done it.
See,
You could make the game easier, Baron. I was just gonna say with the specters, the NPCs, you can use them in your boss fights too. Yeah, you can't technically co-op with another player, another real person, but you can use the specters, and that helped me a lot. You know,
They made them stronger too, thankfully.
Spillage
Yeah,
has a
good, yeah.
really good question.
Yeah, they did.
But I got one thing that I want to point out. And I remember seeing, I believe it was a tweet from you, Erica, that Remnant 2 Fae level, and then obviously the world of Liza P, it reminds you of Bloodborne. Is that
Did I tweet that?
Yeah, I think you tweeted something about that with Remnant. That because it filled it hearing the way people talk about Remnant or talked about Bloodborne and the world design and that Victorian dark, they for sure encompass that in the Fey world, which was a shock, right? That was the first time I've ever seen elves all depressed and sad and homely. Like, I've never even enslaved elves in different games. Like, even thinking of like Dragon Age Origins, because the elves were like stomped out and like poor, they still looked like atypical elves. But here in this game, these dudes look like vampires. And they look sick. All of them, even the rich ones. And it's just so crazy. Like, it looks like a freaking smoke stacked out Victorian era. It reminded me a lot of Bloodborne. Does the world design have something to do with your enjoyment of Liza P? That's basically what I'm trying to ask.
Liza P. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's moments where, yeah, you get that kind of feeling where it's like it's reminiscent, even though it doesn't look technically the same. It's just the way it's designed and like the layout. And I know, Keith, you were talking about Liza P, where it's not really like you can explore too much. It's more linear.
Yeah.
And I think with Liza P, like I didn't really complain about that. I appreciated that because you're constantly rewarded with things, you know, go here, go there, but you would constantly pick up something from the ground, find some kind of chest or whatever. There's always something to find. So I liked that about Liza P. And yeah, like the environments, like you said, it was reminiscent of certain areas I've seen before. And I think when they can present it in their own way and it's just like something I haven't seen before, but it feels familiar, that really gets to me and like really makes me happy. And like I just love that feeling of like curiosity and just looking around. And if you can give me that moment where I stop what I'm doing and just kind of look at things, that's a big deal for me.
And speaking on, go ahead.
I was going to say, getting back to, I really do think that these designers at times really just want to recreate Bloodborne. I really do think they want to do that. I really do.
Yeah.
It's just Bloodborne is. It doesn't make it different. It doesn't make it different if that game is never coming back because they said this was a one and done deal. It's done, or that people keep hoping that Sony will make another Bloodborne or remaster or whatever.
Yeah, it's not.
I do think that every time we play this game, somebody's, hey, this level looks like Bloodborne. And it's like,
it's because we want it. We want more Bloodborne.
Want it so bad, like I get it, but it's not coming, guys. Just stop.
Well, those rumors. How do you guys feel about it? Like every month? There's always some kind of
it's trending so much. It's trending
check.
So much.
Let's check and see.
It's usually trending, and that's
I wouldn't be surprised.
Especially with the
every month, there's some person that they think they're an insider or they heard something. Yeah, Remnant 2, Bloodborne. Did I say Remnant? Bloodborne 2, Bloodborne remake. Blue Point's making it. You know, there's always this rumor.
Or the PC port.
Bloodborne PC port. Yeah. Can we just get 60 frames? I would be happy with just 60 frames at least.
They don't understand that. It's got to be ray tracing and 4K. No, we don't. No, we don't need that, guys. 60 frames per second. Come on, just stop.
That's all we want is frames. That's it.
I wonder if that would do you guys believe that would dramatically change the game, the flow of the game?
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, I think it would. Like the combat would be better.
I'm sorry, no, I thought you mean like not having the 4K without. No, because 60 frames. Lance McDonald showed us Bloodborne running at 60 frames per second.
It looks gorgeous. Like it's such a difference maker. Like people don't know, man.
Sony, what's up?
And then you can make the money. You know it's gonna sell, especially after the hype of Elden Ring. Bro, this game is gonna sell. It's gonna do gangbusters.
It's crazy because they'll give this patch to like The Last of Us 2, like 60 frames or whatever the patch. They'll do it for those games and do a remaster and all this stuff. But Bloodborne, for whatever reason, just never gets it.
What if there's like some secret backroom like legal deal where the game's locked up like the Nemesis system with Monolith? Like it just will never get anything else.
Crazy.
But
because I like to replay it, but anyways, yeah. Back on topic, I guess.
Somebody in chat real quick. Hang on. They said, "Is Remnant 2 PC performance good with 8 gig cards?" Well, it depends on your video card because the RTX 2060.
I have a 2060 Super that I'm running it on.
Bare minimum, and I think that's 8 gigs, right? So, yeah, it depends on that.
I might have 10.
It depends on your VRAM in the card that you have.
I'm gonna check my laptop because I've been playing the DLC on my laptop, and I'm gonna see.
And I don't know. Did you guys notice that it looks better? I don't know if
no, it looked the same to me.
It looks better to me. It looked better to me. Like I don't know if maybe I let the settings be a little higher because normally for recording purposes and live streaming, I automatically put everything to low just so I have no issues across the board. But it just looked a lot.
I want to run it on my actual PC because I have a 4070, but the DLC I played on my laptop over the weekend. So if you're curious about a gaming laptop, you could look at my content from today and see how it looks. There's a couple frame drops here and there, but for the most part, it ran pretty good. But
real quick,
I just don't know what I have on here.
Let's answer Spillage's question, and then we could start wrapping it up because that's a really good question.
Oh no!
What's the question?
Which game has the hardest bosses?
Bosses?
Are the hardest boss? Yeah, Spillage.
One single boss? Ooh, gosh, we talking all Souls-like?
Well, we'll keep it to this year, like what you experienced this year, just because otherwise because I would say the Butcher dude from
it's
Dark Souls 2. But keep going.
Probably for me, because this is pre-patch, probably Liza P. Yeah. Not because there's a couple bosses that took me like 4 hours to beat. King of Puppets was crazy, and the final boss gave me that work too. And this was pre-patch, so my specters weren't surviving.
Or surviving.
Bosses were.
It was like wasn't worth the effort. Just why'd you come in this
dude?
place,
the King of Puppets. I would take a specter in there. It never failed. As soon as the second phase started, they would just die. Boom, instantly. The guy would just kill him. My specter never survived. So it was basically me. And this is my fault though, because I was doing the typical Erica thing. People who watch me know I'm very stubborn, and I sometimes don't find enough heals or like health. I only had 4 heals on that fight, like an idiot. I wasn't really using my P organ right, and I wasn't. So I was fighting King of Puppets with 4 heals. So I did it to myself in a way, but at 4 hours to beat that boss. So I'm gonna say Liza P.
Keith.
Easily.
I am thinking because a couple of bosses in Lords of the Fallen gave me that work. We'll just say Liza P. I spent more time on Liza P than I did Lords of the Fallen. Beating it, that is.
For me, because out of all those, the only one I put time into was Remnant 2 and Wolong. I would say Remnant 2 cube puzzle boss.
Now I gotta harass you. Which boss in Remnant 2? Which
cube,
one?
The cube.
The cube. The cube was like a puzzle. It was like a puzzle.
I put that in my review. So many people on
YouTube get so mad because of that boss. Yes,
but remember, we talked about that. We talked about that, and I said, "Hey, this is a filter. This is a filter. If anything, this will ruin their game because they made a puzzle boss a part of the main story. That would have been a great side mission to offer me an awesome weapon. That would an optional boss for an epic gear set or something. That would have been perfect. But to make that cube boss thing, which on the surface is very simple, and it's funny because aren't usually the most difficult things like at the Like you look at a Rubik's cube. Like it just it's very on the surface. It's very simple. Hey, just get all the colors on one side. No, no. There's rules to this. There's ways you have to make this little cube complete. And they figured out a way to pick a whole boss battle out of it. And but yes, that for me it would definitely be that moment. I'm not.
I was gonna say, but remember the time we were fighting Annihilation and it was like this destroying us?
Remember when we almost beat him and we rolled off the edge in the alternate world? I was like, wait, there's no walls? Like you
could fall off.
You could fall off?
That boss was wild. I would say that's probably my second choice. If Liza P didn't come out this year, I would say that final boss in Remnant kicked my ass.
Oh baby.
That second phase was just like because you had the timing.
Stupid.
Oh my god!
And then
delayed attacks.
Yeah, then
dude, the hardest thing in Souls games for me, delayed attacks, and that boss has a ton of them. So it was rough.
Yes, Spillage. That was an awesome question.
Is it coming down yet? I'm rolling already.
And then oh my! Or remember towards the end when they would fuse, so he would get ready to do the basic swipe attack in the second world, and then he would turn to the regular real world, and it would turn into him doing a hack attack, and it was just
that was not one of my favorite bosses.
It was ridiculous.
It was insane.
I remember honestly because it was close to embargo. I remember hitting that point, and I remember telling Keith, like, I don't know if I'm gonna beat the game. Like, I just remember saying it. Like, I don't think I'm gonna beat it. Like, well, I'll write it up, but I'm gonna just let everybody know, hey, I didn't beat the final boss. Baby, I am so sorry. Daddy's about to wrap this up right now. Okay, so guys, you know, everybody hanging out with us, Carolina, Spillage, Disc 1 final boss, Flameser, Fame, I guess. Geek Life Mike, Bordy, Salazar,
Dallas was
right? Wankus.
Epic treasure. Shout out to her.
Yeah, Ready GCE.
People in here.
It's a bunch of Emmanuel, and if I missed you, I'm so sorry, but I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out. Let's show the world that this is not a niche game, a niche genre. This is something I feel like it really provides true satisfaction. Like I feel good when I beat one of these damn games. I feel good, like I earned something when I beat a boss. Like I wear it like a badge of honor. I finished Code Vein not because it was one of the best games I ever played, but because it was just ridiculous, and I felt like I accomplished something when I beat it. And then I have Erica's video pop up and save the day.
I always remember that. You tweeted me, you're like,
I was like,
guess what I found? Guess what popped up? And then you showed me like a screenshot or something. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
It made
and
me...
then you know what I did after that? I went straight to Google and like, let me type in the how to beat this boss.
And
it popped up.
It was the first
and that's when I knew. Honestly, that was one of the big moments for me as a YouTuber. Like, shit, I could do this. Like if my stuff's popping on Google, the first thing, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, granted, it was a kind of a smaller game, more niche, especially then. But it still was a big win for me. That was a huge win. Like you kind of sparked that because you told me that, so I appreciate that.
Guys, I feel good about myself, but before she starts losing it, so folks, I just once again I want to say thank you guys so much. And can you guys please let them know what you're working on, Keith? Let them know where they can find you. Let them know what you're working on. I know we just had a lot of Remnant 2 stuff pop up, so Keith, go ahead, let them know.
You can find me over at Outerhaven.net, or you can find me on Twitter at ShadowHaxer. I am working on nothing right now. I've done too much Remnant 2. I just want to play more of the game, help people through the game. I just want to work on other projects.
He's
in the background
gonna carry me.
Talk about. Yeah, I mean, whenever you jump on, I will definitely play with you. Not to carry. I said play with. Yeah, just try not to go insane, you know, because of kids and holiday, and I'm getting older. My birthday's in 2 weeks, so even more gray hair. Fantastic.
Wisdom.
Awesome.
Erica, let the folks know where they can find you and what you're working on.
Yeah, just air cuts for the win. I'm sure I'll be in the description or something of this
Yeah, I'm
video.
gonna
So
make
yeah,
sure
you
to
could
add
just
all your guys' stuff. I got
yeah,
you.
you could find me by that name on Twitter, YouTube, and usually if you do follow me on Twitter, I post all my videos there and little clips. Sometimes I'll throw a clip on there. I like to get my content anywhere I can. So yeah, just check it out. Souls content. I'm working on probably just some more Remnant content. I do want to cover the Game Award nominees a little bit, so I might do something like that.
And then
And
what's the title you're
yeah,
working on right now?
the title?
The game you're working on
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I just started playing The Last Faith, which is kind of like it's like a Bloodborne 2D Metroidvania type, and it's pretty awesome so far. I got about an hour. Just started today, so you just reminding me I gotta play that right now. So I'll be up late playing that and hopefully get some content out for you guys. So if you're interested in that game, I got you guys. But yeah, it's an exciting time. It's Souls games galore right now, and there's just always something to work on. So I am busy. Check me out if you guys can. And thanks for having me, Baron. This was fun.
Nah, we're
Definitely.
definitely going to be doing more of this. Hopefully, with the success of these titles, and hopefully they bring home some awards. Like I'm really hoping Liza P brings home awards, and I'm hoping Remnant 2 brings home Best Action Game, because
It
that
It's
better.
gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
it's tough. It's very tough. But I
Because
think
Armored
it's
Core is in there. So I don't know. I'm like, I think it's gonna
but
get it.
but I'm gonna tell you, I think this will shine a really big positive light. They'll sell extra well. Yeah, they'll sell well during the holidays. You know, we got Black Friday around the corner. Hopefully, we get some cool physical editions for these games, please. Um, and maybe it'll show folks that it's worth investing into, and we can get more AAA, AA versions of these games, more so than Hellpoint. And
Definitely.
she's losing it. I know, baby. I'm so sorry. I'll take you to your mom.
Time to
right
go.
now.
Baby
Right?
wants to go.
Right? But thank you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out Air Cuts for the Win content, the Outerhaven and Keith, and all the content that they put out. Put out great stuff, a lot of guides, stuff that helps me, because I did not know how to find the Arcanist, and I was gonna call him, but then shout out to Kyle, because I seen a tweet where he shared the article, and I was like, oh, I don't need to bug Keith. Let me just go to the article in the video.
He's quick.
Right? Oh yeah, it's so much content out there that these folks put out to help you get through these games where you don't have to get good on your own. And there is nothing wrong with going through a guide, because it'll open your eyes to new ways of playing these games, and it'll make them not so difficult. and it's funny because even with guides, it doesn't make it to where it's an easy game. It just now shows you that it's
You still
doable.
gotta
Yeah,
execute.
you still gotta work.
It's all about execution and timing. You can see somebody do it, and you could watch them beat the boss, and you still have to do it. It's still gonna be hard.
Thank
It's
you.
not always
Thank you for
easy.
saying that, because a lot of people go, "Why do you watch people play games on YouTube?" Well, just because somebody on YouTube or Twitch can do it doesn't mean I can do it.
Right.
Super side note before we go, I remember watching a speed run of Dark Souls 2, because once again that's the one I put the most time into, and it immediately gave me like almost like a 10-hour push when I started over. Like what normally would take me 10 hours, I got to that point in like an hour or two. Didn't make it easier, but it just, I was like, oh, I could have just did that. Oh, I should have just rolled there.
Shows you where to go.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
gave me some guidance, and it was like, hey, bro, like you were bumping your head against this wall for no reason, fighting this troll over and over, when you could have just did this and grabbed the item and rolled off. But beside the point, yes, folks, guides are good, especially with this genre, and then it'll help you get better skills. So go check these folks out, outerhaven.net, Eric Cuts for the Win. I'll make sure to put all their descriptions below. Much love. Thank you guys so much for this. And Brianna, even though you were a little butt in the beginning, thank you so much for making it.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. She's well behaved.
Oh yeah, no, she's crushing it. But believe me when I tell you, this was different. And I just want to give you a high five. High five. Yeah,
she's feeling the souls, man. She decided to be a souls boss for you tonight.
Oh yeah, we were definitely we were parrying and rolling through the frames. But much love, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Take it easy.